Okay, so just imagine this for a second. You're in charge of a really prestigious university.
Right, top of the line.
And the rules are absolute, carved in stone. Rule number 1. You have to be 12 years old to get in, no exceptions.
A hard and fast rule.
And then an 8-year-old kid walks through the door.
It sounds like the start of a fable, doesn't it? But that actually happened in 1835.
At the Düsseldorf Academy of Art, and the kid was Oswald Achenbach.
And here's the craziest part. They didn't kick him out.
They broke their own rules. They let him in. Why?
Because pretty quickly they realized this 8-year-old was drawing better than most of the adults in the building.
And that one act, that violation of the rules, it really just set the stage for his entire life, didn't it?
It really did. A life spent caught between being a rebel and being a prisoner. And today, we're unpacking the incredible story of Oswald Achenbach.
Now, if you think 19th century landscape painting is just, boring pictures of trees, you are in for a huge surprise. This is a story about a massive family rivalry.
A bitter one. And a deal that is, I think, maybe the strangest deal in art history.
The brothers literally divided a continent.
They did. You have two of them, Oswald and his older brother, Andreas. And in their time, they were superstars. People called them the alpha and omega of landscape painting.
The beginning and the end. Sounds like a pretty big compliment.
Oh, it was meant to be. Like they covered the entire spectrum of art. But in that family, that nickname was heavy. Andreas was the alpha.
The first one.
And he was 12 years older. So when little 8-year-old Oswald walks into the academy, Andreas is already 20. He's a star. He's established.
So Oswald is forever the omega, the little brother trying to catch up.
Exactly. And that tension led to this peace treaty, that's what you called it. To avoid basically fighting over the same buyers and subjects, they sat down with a map of Europe.
Like a mafia movie. You take the north side, I'll take the south.
It was almost exactly like that. Andreas, the alpha, claimed the north.
So what did that mean?
Stormy seas, Dutch ports, shipwrecks, all that dramatic, violent Nordic weather. They called him the master of the moment, capturing a storm just as it breaks.
Which left Oswald with?
The south. Specifically, Italy, Naples, Rome, sun-drenched landscapes and calm bays. While Andreas was painting the terror of nature, Oswald became the observer of calm.
So this bizarre deal, you get the rain, I get the sun. Did it actually work? Did it stop the fighting?
Commercially, yes. It made them both incredibly wealthy because they weren't stepping on each other's toes.
But personally?
Not at all. The rivalry was always there, just under the surface. There's this famous story, years later, at a fancy dinner party. Someone asks Oswald to stand up and raise a toast to his brother. He just flat out refused, said something like, "I won't do it on principle."
Wow.
Yeah. It shows that even with all the success, Oswald always felt like he was fighting for his own identity against the shadow of his brother, the King of the North.
So Oswald becomes the King of the South. But here's the thing that gets me. The big paradox.
The Italian's paradox, right?
Yeah, exactly. He becomes Germany's #1 painter of Italy, but he lives in Düsseldorf, in the cool, gray, rainy Rhineland his entire life.
He never moved to a villa in Tuscany or anything like that.
So how did he do it? How do you paint the heat of Naples when you're looking out at German drizzle?
He was a very strategic traveler. Over his whole career, he only made 8 trips to Italy. The first one was in 1845 when he was 18.
And that's the one that cemented his half of the deal.
Yep. He'd go down there, fill up thousands of pages in his sketchbooks with details, and then he'd go home to his studio in Düsseldorf.
And just paint from memory. Or from the sketches.
He would, and this is the key word, he would manufacture Italy. These weren't documentaries. He was constructing a vision, an ideal, sometimes years after he'd actually been there.
Manufacture. That makes it sound like an industry.
And it was. You have to remember the time. This is the mid to late 1800s. You've got this new, wealthy middle class, the bourgeoisie, with money and big houses.
And they want to show off how cultured they are.
Absolutely. An Oswald Achenbach painting on your wall was a prestige object. It was a status symbol. It said, "I have taste, I understand the grand tour."
So he was churning them out. How many paintings are we talking about?
Over his career,
Yeah.
roughly 2,000.
2,000.
It was a factory of nostalgia, of sunny escapism. He knew what the market wanted, and he delivered. Consistently.
Before we dig into what made those paintings so special, I just want to say to everyone listening, if you're enjoying this story of art and rivalry, please hit that subscribe button or leave us a like. It really helps us bring more of these deep dives to you.
Yes, please do, because the story, it just gets more complicated from here.
Right. So he's mass-producing these Italian dreamscapes. But when you actually look at the paintings, they're not just postcards of Naples.
No, and that's the genius of it. He wasn't a realist. He was a visionary. He created dreamlike visions of Italy using architecture and people almost like stage props.
Stage props. What do you
Think about his life outside of painting. He was a huge figure in the Malkasten.
The paint box.
Right, the Düsseldorf Artists Association. But it wasn't just some boring union. It was a social club. They put on massive festivals, plays, musical shows. Oswald was often the director, or even an actor.
So he brought a director's eye to his canvases?
100%. You look at one of his paintings, and the little figures, the monks, the peasant girls, they are perfectly placed to guide your eye through the scene. They're cast members in his play called Italy.
And the lighting? It's almost supernatural sometimes.
It was a master of contrast. His signature move was combining moonlight with firelight.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about, the moonlit Bay of Naples.
Exactly that one. You have the cool, silvery moonlight on the water, and then on the beach, the warm orange glow from a bonfire. It creates this incredible tension. It's pure drama.
It's basically the 19th century Instagram filter.
That's a surprisingly good way to put it. He was enhancing reality to create a feeling. He even told his students to go study William Turner.
The British painter.
Yeah, because Turner cared about light and atmosphere more than literal detail. Oswald didn't want to count every leaf on a tree. He wanted you to feel the heat coming off the canvas.
Okay, so he's a massive success. He's rich. He's famous. He owns the Italian market. So why do we call him a prisoner of success?
This is the tragic part of the whole story. Because publicly, he was the polished, perfect academic painter. But privately, he was a complete radical.
I'm talking about his sketches now, right?
The sketches, yeah. When he was out in the field just working for himself, he would ditch the fine brushes. He started using palette knives, sponges.
I read he even used his fingers.
He did. He was basically finger painting with oil. He was creating these thick, tactile surfaces where the paint literally has a physical relief and the forms just dissolve into light and color.
It sounds a lot like Impressionism.
That's the thing. If you look at his oil sketches from the 1850s, they are shockingly impressionistic.
Wait, the 1850s? Impressionism doesn't really kick off in France until the 1870s.
Exactly. Oswald Achenbach was anticipating the Impressionists by nearly 20 years. He was doing the loose, light-focused work long before Monet made it famous.
So why isn't he in the history books as the father of Impressionism? Why isn't it Achenbach and Monet?
Because the market wouldn't let him be.
The dealers just said no.
The dealers, the collectors, the critics, they all wanted the Achenbach they knew and loved. The polished, romantic, detailed view of Italy. When he showed them these looser, modern sketches, they basically said, "This looks unfinished, we can't sell this."
That is just heartbreaking.
It really is. He was trapped. To keep up his lavish lifestyle, and he lived very well, he had to keep painting in the style he was famous for. Even though his heart was already somewhere else entirely, his brand was too strong. He was a prisoner of his own success.
And the ultimate irony is that the very movement he secretly predicted is the one that ended up destroying him.
It did. The crash came hard and fast around 1897.
What happened?
The Berlin National Gallery, the absolute pinnacle of the German art world. A new director, Hugo von Schutte, he decides he wants to modernize the collection.
So out with the old.
Out with the old. He takes down the Achenbachs, and what does he put up in their place?
Let me guess. The French Impressionists.
Monet. The very art that Oswald had been experimenting with in secret for 40 years was now being used to label him as old-fashioned and outdated.
That's brutal. Just a complete changing of the guard.
It was. Overnight, he went from being a superstar to being, well, your grandma's pictures, Omas builder, just decorative art for old houses. And for most of the 20th century, art history just kind of forgot about him.
But obviously something changed. We're talking about him now.
There's been a huge comeback, a reevaluation of the whole Düsseldorf School, and the market has woken up to him again.
I saw a sale recently that just blew the estimates away.
You're thinking of the 2017 sale. Summer evening in the Bay of Naples.
It went for over 200,000 euros.
Right, and that's a big deal. It shows that people are finally seeing him not as a commercial hack, but as a master of color and light who just got caught at the wrong moment in history. The Alpha and Omega are finally being seen together again.
It's an amazing story. That little 8-year-old breaks the rules to get into the academy and then spends the rest of his life following the rules of the market.
Even when his own art wanted to break them all over again, he was a rebel who got domesticated by success.
So as we wrap this up, what's the final takeaway for you when you look at his work now?
I see a cautionary tale, a story about the golden handcuffs. He found a formula that worked brilliantly. It made him rich and famous, but it also stopped him from becoming the artist he could have been.
It makes you wonder how many other pioneers are buried under their own commercial success.
It's a common story, but the art survives, and that's the beautiful thing. We can look into his private sketchbooks now and see the artist he secretly wanted to be.
And maybe finally give him credit. Not as the little brother, not as the guy who manufactured Italy, but as a pioneer who's just too early for his own good.
A pioneer in disguise. I like that.
I just want to leave everyone with one final thought. Imagine if Oswald Achenbach had just told the dealers to get lost.
They would have laughed him out of the room.
Probably. But imagine if in the 1850s he had taken those wild finger-painted sketches, framed them, and put them in a gallery.
He might have started the Impressionist revolution 20 years before Monet ever did.
We could be calling it Achenbachism. The capital of modern art might not be Paris.
It might be Düsseldorf.
Now that is a story worth retelling. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.